Okay, good morning, everybody. So, welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Dr. Kwan Ban Ho. I'm the assistant professor from the Department of Mechatronics and Biomedical Engineering, Lee Kong Chian Faculty of Engineering and Science, University Tunku Abdul Rahman. So this webinar is jointly organized by the Center for Corporate and Community Development and Lee Kong Chian Faculty of Engineering and Science. I will be moderating today's webinar titled ChatGPT, Overview of Recent Developments and Applications by Engineer Dr. Danny Ng Wee Kiat. A brief introduction to Dr. Danny. So Engineer Dr. Danny Ng Wee Kiat is an assistant professor in the Department of Mechatronics and Biomedical Engineering at University Tunku Abdul Rahman, where he currently serves. He completed his PhD in engineering in 2021, specializing in robotics and its practical applications. Since 2019, he has been registered professional engineer with the Board of Engineers Malaysia. He actively participates in industry-focused research collaborations with prominent companies such as TFAMD Microelectronics Sdn Bhd and Greatech Berhad. He also provides consulting services to Mimos Berhad, Malaysia's National Applied R&D Center, specifically in robot development. In addition to his academic and industry engagement, he contributes to STEM activities through his involvement with the Kuala Lumpur Engineering Science Fair, which is an initiative dedicated to fostering interest in the STEM subjects throughout Malaysia. It is also recognized as an HRD Corp accredited trainer. So if you have any questions, please type them into the chat box. I'll bring them up during the Q&A sessions at the end of the webinar. Before we start, just a quick survey. May I know any of you is actually not from Utah? Maybe just type 1 in the chat box, so at least we know roughly how many of you is exactly from outside of Utah. So those are not from Utah, kindly put 1 in the chat box. Thanks a lot. I think seems like quite a number of participants from non-Utah staff and students. Okay, without any further delay, let us turn the time over to Engineer Dr. Danny Ng Wee Kiat. Dr. Danny, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Dr. Kwan. Let me just do a quick sharing of my screen. Okay, so first of all, morning everyone. Seems that today we have a quite big crowd over here. Joining into the session today. Okay, so first of all, thank you for the introduction, Dr. Kwan. So for the session today, the 1 hour that you'll spend with me, I'll be talking more about like what is ChatGPT, the overview of recent developments, and to show you some of the application, what you can do with ChatGPT itself. So I think the name ChatGPT is something that everyone must have known. If I would be curious if you have not heard of this before, it is in news in every news article. If you talk about AI for the past maybe 1.5 years, for general public, you will see that this thing pop up a lot. ChatGPT. So within the context of ChatGPT, what I'm going to do today, just to share with you, is the first is what is ChatGPT. Second is more about understanding the architecture of what is ChatGPT. This part is more technical, so I'll be a bit brief on the architecture. So if you want to know more, maybe you can just drop a question in the chat box. But I think that the most thing that a lot of people want to know is how to do prompting with ChatGPT, capabilities of ChatGPT. So to showcase some of the capabilities, first I will just show it through my slides. Then after that, I will run through a quick demo of the latest version of ChatGPT. For the past almost 1.5 years since its release, there are a lot of changes to ChatGPT itself. So the capabilities that is built into the system is drastically different from the time when it is launched. So I think somewhere around mid-year last year, I did the similar sharing session on ChatGPT. I think at that time, it is still not as complete as what we have now. So the capabilities actually advances a lot for the past 1 year. So at the end, I will conclude this session with some best practice that everyone can try to adopt when you are using ChatGPT itself. So let's start with the first item over here. So the first item is what is ChatGPT? So now, ChatGPT itself, right, is actually a large language model developed by OpenAI. It is actually a subset of what we call a generative pre-trained transformer. So it is actually tuned for conversational tasks. That's why there's a chat in front. So they call it ChatGPT. So unlike other models which are trained for specific tasks like translation, summarize, ChatGPT is optimized to engage in dialogues. Recently, you can see that it's getting better and better in things such as translation and summarization also. So even though it is not trained mainly for that, but because it's a large language model, it has the capability to do something. So I think the model have been trained on a vast amount of data. So because the internet have a lot of data, and OpenAI actually utilizes a lot of the publicly available information that they use to train. So because it is trained on a lot of data, and it tends to be able to, based on all this data, it can actually generate responses that are coherent, contextually relevant, and sometimes you don't know whether you are talking to a robot or a real person. So one thing to take note over here, right, is ChatGPT actually doesn't have a memory of like past interaction. It actually have a memory of a certain number of interaction, but it doesn't have a memory of like all the interaction you have with the thread itself. They do not have predefined answer. So every time you try to prompt something, it might be answering you differently. So it generates responses based on the input given, or what we call prompt. And each interaction is actually dynamic. So every time you try to regenerate, later I'll show you some example when I try regenerating, you can see that the interaction is actually different every time. So now let's look a more detail in ChatGPT itself. So the lineage itself, right, can be traced back towards the original GPT model. Then it started to have more and more content inside, more parameters inside. So I think GPT-3 with the first release 2 years back, the whole world actually is, I would say, in shock, because it is the first time that we get to, freely use something that is almost human-like when you are interacting with. So but I think last year, I think GPT-4 was released. It gained bigger and bigger parameters set inside it. So with more data that is trained on, it actually showcases a better ability to understand context, generate content, and even like doing coding in certain programming language. So with the advancement in like the GPT, OpenAI actually saw the potential for conversation model, and they actually fine-tuned it. That's why ChatGPT was born. One thing we noticed, it is still under continuous improvement. They are still putting in more and more data, training bigger and bigger model, coming up with next version, and also putting in more capabilities like using tools and doing live coding and things like that. So if you have an account, I assume that everyone here have an account for ChatGPT. If you don't have, you can just go create one. on OpenAI website, just remember to go to the proper website, because make sure the URL is openai.com, because there are some third parties that might create phishing website to do this. But once you have created, you will see a page like this. So basically, it's straightforward. They give you a prompt, or they give you an area that you can chat with the chatbot, and to do whatever that's needed. So basically, interface is very simple. You have your chat area, you have your input text box, you have some, a few example for you to start. So before I go into prompting, let's go a bit into the architecture, what is actually behind this view. So this view is the front side that user interact with. So what is behind it? So if you look behind it, the architecture is the GPT model. So I'll be a bit brief on this one, but basically what it does is you have a transformer. So it actually take in inputs, and they try to search for the best output based on the attention. So basically what it does is it is generating word by word. Given a context going in, what is the next best words to actually fit this context itself. So basically it is generate character word by word. That's why when you do when you use ChatGPT, you can see that it is outputting word by word. So I won't go through the training and all those. Basically, if you need more information on this, the paper for ChatGPT is available in the public. You can get and look at it. So the thing I'm going focus more is on prompting with ChatGPT. So this is what you do. You type in something in the text box, you are prompting ChatGPT. So prompting is the act of giving ChatGPT a text input known as a prompt. So this is the only way, one of the way we communicate. Recently, I think they have started to have attachment. So you can actually input things such as a PDF, images, Excel file to ChatGPT, so it can help you with analysis. So they started to have multimodal input. So the quality of response is very dependent on your input prompt itself, because your input prompt actually affects how ChatGPT can reply you. So it is important where you try to guide the model to give you the answer you want, because you need to steer the conversation. So like when you're talking to a human, you need to steer the conversation. Same thing here, you try to guide the model to be able to give you the answer you need. So now there's a few prompting method. One is, we call it zero-shot prompting. Is you try to tell all the context and everything at once. So this is useful when you want to see the default model, default behavior. Because I think recently you can see some articles that says that large language model trained in a certain way have a certain biases. So they have biases towards if you put in a construction worker, for example, if you write a story about it, majority is about a person, a male. So they have some biases. So if you want to know the biases, you can try zero-shot prompting, and you can see some of the biases. So if you want to have a few guidance itself, is you can have a few shot prompting. So you can try to do a few tasks itself and then see what's the output. Or you can work on chain of thought prompting. So it's more like back and forth. So you talk to the model itself, the model reply to you, you prompt. So basically, these are a few of the prompting methods. So I'll share and show some of the example later on also during demonstration. So before demonstration, let's go through a few capabilities. So first is this. Let me just play the video. So basically, if you land on the page itself, you can see 4 boxes over there. So those are some abilities that ChatGPT is able to do. You can try to click on any one of them, and you will be able to see the, generated output. So I think for the first one is coding. So this is an example of coding. And, there's also one example of concept. So over here, when you click on the concept, this is a concept for, retro style arcade game. So it will give you some like brainstorming, they give you some idea on like the Galactic Defender, time travel quest. It can generate all these things for you, given the task itself. I think one thing that a lot of people ask me before is what is the difference between the Pro version, the Plus version, and also the 3.5. So now, given the same prompt, so this is things on GPT-4, you will notice that because GPT-4 is trained on a larger model, it can give you a more, a more concise or more detailed output itself. So over here, you can see that given the same prompt, it can help you to actually generate much more information compared to what you have in GPT-3 itself. So that is one of the major difference you will see in GPT-4. So if you have the GPT-4 account, you will notice that this was launched, I think, end last year or early this year. I can't remember the exact date. But you can create your own custom GPTs to suit your purpose. So they have created this function within ChatGPT itself that you can create your own bot or personalized helper. So later on, I'll show you one of the personalized helper that I created. So it actually, you are able to do a lot of things. These are all either company created or user created GPTs that you can import and use as part of your side panel over here. Recently they have also integrated DALL-E. DALL-E is the image generation tool that is developed by OpenAI into ChatGPT itself. So if you have you need a Plus account to use this, but if you have the account, you are able to use image generation also within the ChatGPT environment. So then they have a data analysis function. So if you have the account, later on I'll show you all of this, that it can help with data analysis. So let me bring up the page. So let me just do a quick one. Okay, I hope everyone can see the web browser over here. So let's go through the demonstration on ChatGPT itself. So I think once you log in, if you are on a free account, so you will have the ChatGPT 3.5. So at ChatGPT 3.5, you will have these four things. These four things is just an example of what you can do. Like for example, plan a trip. So you want to plan a trip to somewhere, so it will start to like give you itinerary over here. So it gives you like what to do in day 1, what to do in day 2 over here. So basically, in 3.5, you can do most of the thing. Like for example, let me start a new chat itself. It's like, can you help me to design a personal web page in HTML? So it give you guidance in coding. It try to generate like all this information and codes for you. Like they will tell you how to use this. So Another way of using this, I think, is more towards brainstorming or creativity. Like, can you help to write a story about a boy in KL? So, they have a short story. You can look at it. You can look at the context itself, whether it suits the area or not. So basically, I think these are most of the function that everyone that here might be have used it before. So if you move on to like GPT-4, so I'll do back the same thing. I think the first thing is plan an itinerary. So I'll just use back the example here, which is about England. So it's trying to plan. You can notice that when it generates word by word. So because this is how the GPT transformer is working, it is looking at, what is the next best word that will continue the sentence. So I'll let this run. So you can see that, this is the next idea, England, what to do. So they have all the locations over here. So you can notice one thing also, GPT-4 generation is a bit slower, but it all depends on the server load and also the network at the time that you're using it. So if you notice the length of generation and the details that are generated is actually much longer for GPT-4. So just now I talk about the generation itself. So every time it generates, it might be different. So let me just do a refresh. Same thing, same question over here. So planning an itinerary. I do a refresh. You should be able to give a roughly different idea. So if you see, so because the main place itself, you notice the first one is Shakespeare Birthplace, second one is the Bronte Personage Museum. But if you look at the next one, you can notice that some of the sequence are different. And you can notice that all the wording that they use inside here is different. So there's no predefined answer for ChatGPT. So every time when you are prompting, it actually gives you different answer. They actually word it differently. There might be some difference. So there's 6 locations in the second prompt. In the first one, the first example, there's actually 9 locations over here. So you can see every time you try to do a refresh, it will be slightly different from the previous one. But the core context, like for example, this is about famous author's home in England. So the core of it does not change. The core is still there. So basically, that's the difference that you would see. So one thing about GPT-4 is it can actually access information from a file. So for example, if you notice when I switch to 3.5, there's no attachment. If I go to GPT-4, it actually shows an attachment. So when you give an attachment, it's more like giving in a context to ChatGPT so that it can actually perform better, or it can help you to perform something that you need to do. So let me just do an attachment over here. So this is one of the paper that I've written previously, one of my research paper. So I can actually help you, can help to summarize the paper and make sure the general public is able to understand it. So basically what this does is it reads the PDF and it tries to, write, and because I'm trying to generalize the article. So it is trying to make sure that, general public can understand it. So it try to write in a way that it uses layman term instead of technical terms. So let me just open up the PDF. Just give me a while. So if you notice, like if you have a research paper like this, is quite daunting for non-technical people. So we have the algorithms, we have the core setup itself, how we do the localization, the mathematics behind it. So like GPT-4 itself can help you to summarize it. Like for example, this paper presents the technology. So what are the big idea? What is the why we are doing this? How it is done? So how it is retracking the people. What are the key findings? Like for this one is we are able to relocate a person. So we are able to relocate, and it actually helps to bring out like the main idea of what is in the paper itself. So basically, summarizing PDF. Basically what it can do is also it can see images. So like the backdrop for the talk today. So sometimes it might have some error, but most of the time it is able to capture out like 80 to 90% of the information without any issue. So for this one, it is actually trying to explain what is going on, on the background. So basically, ChatGPT 4 itself can start to see what is in the files that you put inside. Then basically, GPT-4 can actually work on simple coding that it can run on the browser itself. They have a Python engine now, so they can do simple things like, can you help plot a graph y equals to 2x for x equals to for x 1 to 100. So basically it is able to utilize Python codes. So you can see that it do based on your prompt itself, is it try to do a simple plotting. So usually when it's doing analyzing, it will just hide everything because most of the time, you don't want to see that for a normal user. But now they actually allow GPT to use coding, use functions, and use tools. So basically, it is able to run a small set of libraries in Python, and you are able to get the output for it. So things such as data plotting and all those, they can help you to analyze. So basically, it help you run, and then it will help you to plot. So basic mathematical equation and all those, I think 3.5 is a bit hard to solve. Like for example, if you go 3.5, if you try to ask it to do mathematic question, ask it to do like calculation counting, it will have issue because it is a language model. So it don't know how to use, how to do calculation. But GPT-4 actually utilizes the language model to generate the correct code to do the thing. So basically, it's solving equation using language model capabilities. So these are something that is recent also. And I think by default, there's a data analysis over here. So this is a custom GPT that's created by ChatGPT itself, so OpenAI themselves. So you can drop in any files and they will help you to analyze and visualize your data. So for example, if I go to statistic Malaysia, so for example, I just get a random set of data. Let me see whether I can get. So like for example, I get economic growth. Let me see. Let me see. Population is population figures. So basically, if you have the Excel file, let me just get the Excel file. Like these are the population. I've downloaded the file. Let me just get the file itself. So basically, I can actually attach a file. Okay, let me generate a set of data on downloads. So I can attach any Excel file inside. And you ask it to analyze. So it will try to like read the Excel file and then try to, read each of the file itself, what it means. So it will take in all the sheets inside and try to load the data, try to make sense of it. And then try to do something with it. So basically, all this custom GPT is tailor-made for certain functions itself. So if you go to explore GPTs, you can notice that there are a lot of other files that are like other GPTs that are created. Like for example, there's right tailored, engaging, quality, relevance, precise word count, and all those. There are certain for image generation. So like for example, I can start one like, can you draw an image of building in Chinese calligraphy art style. Just ignore my spelling. Should be able to get what I'm trying to say. So image generation will take some time comparing it to like the normal conversation type of generation, because it's usually like utilizing DALI to do the generation. So basically over here, it is generated by traditional Chinese calligraphy art. So these are the building itself with the landscape. So you try to take your prompt and then try to do it. So you can do refresh, then you can generate new one. One more thing over here is they have what we call a custom GPT. So if you notice, this one is a custom GPT that is created by me. So you can edit the GPT itself, you can review, and testing over here, you can share for other people to use. So for example, if you have, like you work in a team and there's a certain workflow that you need to do, you can use this to share, with other people, like this is what I've built, so everyone can use it. I've built a simple one which convert receipt to tables. So for example, I can actually attach a receipt itself. So like, for example, can you list down the items quantity, item price, and total. So because this is created to be used for receipt and creating table, it will try to generate based on what I've created previously. So like, for example, things over here, you have your quantity, your product, your price, and your total. So like, for example, there's two ice kosong, but you only capture one. So this is one of the limitation also when you're using GPT. You need to ensure that whatever it gets is correct. So basically, this is how they do it. They will read the image, they will actually extract the information. So, okay. So basically, sometimes they will split the items also, because it depends on your prompt. So they will also ask you whether what you want to do with it and how you want the format to be. So if you notice that sometimes if the output is not what you want, you could actually ask it to check back again. So like, for example, you can tell it that think some of the items are wrong, can you check it? So then it will try to do a recheck. But actually over here, it actually divided the item. So basically, it will try to do again. So if you notice over here, even with the AI tool itself, there are some possibility that things would go wrong. So it is important to have the human input also to actually make sure that whatever you get is correct. So yep, basically that's the demonstration that I wanted to show for today. So let's go back towards the slide itself. So I think limitation, this is something that need to highlight over here. So I think just now you have seen, like, reading the image, sometimes the information is not 100% correct. So there's also one thing is there's AI hallucination. So the AI itself do not know everything. It knows a bit of everything, but it is based on what that's available in the public domain. So there is a possibility that it generate fake item for you to see. So one example is coming back to the tour of England. So you need to cross-check everything that's given over here to ensure that it is real. So there is a possibility, one of the place is fake. So generic model suffer from hallucination. This is one thing to remember. It is in their technical report itself. So this is the technical report by OpenAI. Then another thing is there are also example of AI hallucination. This is actually in a court case in last year, in the US, that there are fake AI generated case research which does not exist in the public. So one thing, ChatGPT is good in writing stories. So sometimes they write stories for fight also. So this happened like May last year, and it actually landed the lawyer in hot waters when they do this. So AI, this is example of AI hallucinations. Then there are some limitation. This is exam result. They let ChatGPT take exam, and you notice that GPT-4 is much better, but it's not perfect. So you notice it's not 100%, roughly around 80% over here. Then one thing is there are certain category it is doing better. There are certain category that's doing worse. So, but on average itself, if you are using V3, accuracy is roughly around, I think over here is 50%. But if you are using GPT-4, it is close to an average of 75%. So just remember that, like, there's still 25% chance what you get is not real or not correct. So these are the factual evaluation. So if like knowing this, there's a few best practice to take away. I think this is a few things to take note. First thing is do be specific. Make sure you try to be as specific as possible with your prompt. Use clear language. Don't use like acronyms and all those. Like for example, if I key in our university acronym Utah inside ChatGPT, maybe there's some issue. Provide context. Make sure your context is well structured. Don't use ambiguous term, like for example, explain to me about Apple. Apple can be the fruit or the tech company, so you give more context to it. Do not overestimate the model. It is powerful, but it is not infallible. There are possibilities that things might be wrong or fake. So handling ambiguous query, because it's you can see the output and you want to know more. So if you want to know more, you can continuously to prompt, ask more question, drive it to a certain narrative. If you're unsure about what they're writing about, you can seek clarification, but do remember there's a possibility they will hallucinate. So if you're unsure, seek professional help from the people from that domain. So at least you will know what is correct or wrong. And always stay updated. Last year, I did this talk. ChatGPT itself was not as powerful as it is today. So always stay updated so that you know what is the latest update, latest progress. Then you can better utilize this as a tool, either for your work, for your study. This is how you get to know the information. So basically, that covers everything that I would want to cover today. So I'm open for any questions. So I'll pass it back to Dr. Kwan to work on the questions itself.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Dr. Danny Ng. So now we'll take some time for questions. Just a reminder, please be sure that you type your questions into the chat box. So in the chat box, I think we have a few questions. Let's look at the first one. So the first question is ChatGPT data only up to September 2021?
No, it is newer, so you should be able to get more latest data. I'm not sure about the latest model, but if I'm not mistaken, it's up to 2022. But let me do a quick search. So I think GPT-4 is trained up to, see, because previously they actually put this information within here, let me see. This is the window itself. So last time they have exact information of like when is it trained until, but I think recently they have removed this lah. So not sure about their latest context. This one might need to check again.
Okay, thanks. Let's move on to the next question. So there's a participant asked, will the files that are attached here for analysis becomes public? So which means ChatGPT will use it as a source to generate the data when prompted by other people.
Okay, according to ChatGPT, some of the information, if you are using the free version, 3.5, they will actually create embeddings out of your data. You won't, embeddings is a derivative of your data, but not your data exactly that they can use for training. So just imagine let me see how to easily explain this. So basically it's a transformed version of your information that they can use for training. So I think recently they do have the enterprise version and also the paid version, which according to their document, they won't. But not the free version. Free version, I think they're still using it, the embeddings for training.
Okay, there are some questions during the participant registration as well. One of them is actually, is it unethical to use ChatGPT to paraphrase our own original content?
I think it's mainly how you use the tool. Because it is important, because any tool can be misused. So you could actually ask ChatGPT to, like, for example, if your English language is not good, you can use it as a reference to write, and maybe by doing that you can try to improve your own language in writing. The main thing is this is a tool that is able to help you to do it, but as the author of the original content, it's better for you to try to use this as a tool to supplement and try to increase it, increase what for example, your language skill and all those, your writing skill, your writing style also.
Okay, there's one more question from the chat box. Can ChatGPT teach me how to create a better prompt?
This one, yes. I would say you can ask ChatGPT to create the prompt for you to prompt. So you can, for example, ask them to generate 10 prompts to create an image. So it will help you to fine tune what is the capability, to actually prompt it.
So there's another questions related to this. Is there any prompt expert outside?
What do you mean by the question?
So maybe you can actually provide more information. Okay, another question is, thanks for the interesting overview. May I ask, when we want to upload any PDF files or Excel to ChatGPT 4, does it need any special extension or plugins?
No, just upload. It can take in quite a lot of file, not only the file that I put in, PDF, Excel, Word file, images. If you upload a file that they don't know, they will tell you that they don't know. But they could actually, you can upload a lot of type of file, text file, PowerPoint, all of it.
Okay, good. Next, if we are sharing the same account and password for ChatGPT 4.0, for example, so the one shared by the Utah with all the faculties, so will our information be visible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, next.
Because it's the same account.
Okay, good. Next will be, do I need to subscribe to ChatGPT 4 to access the latest data? ChatGPT 3.5 is only updated until 2022. if I want to learn about the current technologies, such as the best budget phone with the Snapdragon processor by 2023, would I require to use the ChatGPT 4?
Okay. This one itself, don't trust the data that's pre-trained. Maybe there's some bias or things like that. If you want to know the latest information, I'll just quickly run an example over here. GPT-4 actually can do web browsing. So it can actually access the internet. So like, for example, I put here, can you search for the best budget phone? Same question that you asked. So it will give you the source it is got it from. I think this is something not doable by the free version because free version could not do web browsing. So unfortunately, GPT-4 is required if you want the latest version, latest information. Just remember over here, it is not only the information that is trained up to, it is also the capability to browse the internet. So as you see over here, there's a source. Where is it from?
Okay, next question will be, if we delete the history, is the information still visible to all the users of the shared version?
Good question. I've not tried this before. This is more towards the account management system. Yeah, this one I have not tried before.
It's okay. Okay, let's move on. Next question will be, how ChatGPT affect the works and assignments of the university students nowadays?
I think the biggest challenge over here is things that deal with case study and also creative writing. Because creative writing and all those, as you can see just now, I just generated a short story. I would say for students itself, for learning, this is a good tool. It's like the time 10, 12 years ago, like 10, 15 years ago, when you have Google just coming up, people say that, everyone will just Google answer and try to put it in. So then, but Google also helped to give more people the opportunity to learn. I would say the same thing for ChatGPT. Is how we utilize the tool to make us better. That's the main thing.
Okay, one more question. Do you think it's a good idea for universities to offer a ChatGPT course as part of their degree? Example, ChatGPT with data analytics.
I would say if it's a university course itself, ChatGPT is only a tool. So it's only one of the tools. So I mean, if you talk about the university itself, it may be a good introduction chapter for recent technologies, because technologies has been going on for so fast, you won't know what will happen the next year. So this year it might be large language model, who knows? Next year it might be large vision or multimodal model itself. So rather than offer as a course, it should be as a tool, within the university itself.
Okay, thanks. I think due to the time constraint, we'll take the last question. Just to reconfirm, regarding the question about using ChatGPT for paraphrasing just now, the reply was that we need to use it as a tool to improve our writing skill. So the conclusion is that it is still unethical to use it for paraphrasing, right?
I mean, it depends on the scenario. So if you actually use it for the purpose that is unethical, for example, you see another website and you want to duplicate the same website, so that means that you are using it for unethical use. So you are not putting in any effort to do the work. So you are just copy and pasting. It's sort of like plagiarism, but now you are plagiarizing with changing, with paraphrasing. So the main thing over here is it is still a tool. A tool can be used for ethical purpose or unethical purpose. It's a bit hard to control for this one. So I think the best thing over here is proper education for people that are using the tool, and to use it wisely. That's what I can say. So I won't give a conclusion whether it is ethical or unethical, but mainly is how you're using it.
Okay, I think due to time constraint, we have to stop the Q&A session here. And thank you, Engineer Dr. Danny. And we will look forward to your training session. And thank you and stay safe, everybody.
Okay, see you.
Thanks, everybody.